Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Tuesday, January 24th, 2012. Let's get right into this market here. There's a lot to talk about. First, we're going to start off with the S&P 500 E-mini futures. They are trading lower today by about 5.5 points at the moment. Futures trading down a little bit after some news out of Europe was reported that Greece talks have been stalled. Looks like they're going to continue. There's really no resolution there. There's also a lot of chatter now that Portugal will need a second bailout. So the European crisis is starting to rise up again. You're starting to see the problems there. But once again, markets are not getting too damaged here. Trading volumes remain extremely light, and that is helping to keep these markets afloat. So far, every time we've had a gap down open, the markets have rallied back on lighter volume. So we'll see if that is the case today. You never know. Don't rule that out. But once again, markets are starting off a little bit lower this morning, down about 5.5 points. Nothing all that bad to start the day, and we'll see how it reacts throughout the rest of the session. But once again, markets starting down about 5.5 points on the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Now, a few other things you want to know about quickly. We talked about Greece not getting a bailout resolution. We also Portugal could be in line for a secondary bailout as well. Today, the Federal Reserve begins their open market committee meeting. It's a 2-day meeting. Therefore, tomorrow they will report their interest rate policy, which is expected to be the same as it's been since December 2008, basically at 0% to 25% to a quarter percent, and basically they're not going to change any statements. They're going to probably leave everything the same. So we'll just see how it is. The big question is, will they mention a QE3? And we don't think they will. Okay, but nonetheless, people will be hanging their hats on that, and a lot of people are expecting, a lot of traders, I should say, and investors are expecting the Fed to maybe come out with a QE3. I don't see it at all. I just don't see it happening, and at least not at this time. A couple of other things: S&P Standard and Poor's credit rating agency downgraded 3 French banks yesterday. That's some more negative news for the European Union. And that's really all we have out of Europe that I think we really need to know about. Traders should watch the U.S. dollar index. Today, that U.S. dollar index is trading higher by about 17 cents. Dollar up, market down. If the dollar begins to fade, then the markets will inflate and trade back up. That's really the gist of it. There's a lot of earnings out there, and we'll cover those in a minute. But let's first talk about oil and gold. This morning, you're going to see that spot crude is trading lower by about 35 cents at the moment, right to around $99.21 per barrel. You'll see the USO this morning trading down a little bit here, right around the 38.10 level. Still a ton of support for USO, about a point lower, around 37.20 if it even got down there. But right now, oil is trading down a little bit. You also have GLD trading down a little bit as well. GLD is trading right around the 162 level. Yesterday, the GLD did close at 163.16. So you're getting a little bit of a retreat in gold and in oil, and that's just simply telling you that the dollar is stronger and the markets are deflating at this time. Spot gold is down about 13 points to $1,600 and I believe 1665 per ounce. So right around that 1,665 level per ounce. So decent little drop in gold, decent little drop in oil, and that's really on the back of a stronger dollar. Okay, so we'll leave it there. A couple of things to go over now as far as earnings are concerned. I have a list here. Will have Apple Computer reporting after the bell today. So very, very important. Apple Computer will be reporting after the bell today. Apple right now is trading slightly lower, but no big deal. This stock has a tendency to run up into earnings. But Apple will be reporting after the closing bell this afternoon. So very, very important to take note of that. That could also keep the market steady as people anticipate real good earnings out of Apple. But you have to wonder how much is baked into the cake at this point. You also have the State of the Union address tonight. That will be this evening, I believe, at 9 p.m. East Coast time. President Obama will give his State of the Union address. I'm not sure if this is his second or third State of the Union address, but nonetheless, he will be giving that this evening. So watch for that. That could also be a short-term market mover, but I believe if the dollar goes up, the market goes down, and it's just that simple. Let's take a look at a host of stocks that have reported earnings today. We'll start off with this PLCM ticker symbol. This stock's catching a pretty good bid. This is Polycom. Again, very, very good resistance right around $22 or just under $22, maybe $21.75 if it got up there. Even at $21, excuse me, even at $21, stock looks like it still has a fair amount of resistance even right here. But at 22 bucks, it has a wall of resistance, and then after that, it's really 23.13. I'm not sure the stock is going to get up there. I think it's already extended. But at 22 bucks, I think it's a decent fade candidate if it can make it up another point or so. Okay, so watch for that one. I would not be a buyer on that gap up. It looks to me like it could be a weak gap higher. So just be careful there, and a ton of resistance around 22 bucks. Let's take a look at TXN. This is good old-fashioned Texas Instruments, chip maker, semiconductor play. Stock is trading around $33.61. Yesterday, I believe Texas Instruments closed around $33.19, so it is trading higher. Was really higher yesterday after the closing bell and has since come back in. So I would not touch Texas Instruments up here. I think it's extended, overbought. I think these earnings are priced into the cake. I would not be a buyer here on Texas Instruments. In fact, it's likely to be a fade candidate as well. Here's the ticker symbol IDCC. This is InterDigital Corp. Remember this company? They were going to be bought out, supposedly rumored to be bought out by Google last year. Instead, Google bought Motorola. The stock rolled over. It used to trade as high as $76 a share. This morning, the stock is trading at $37.18. Not a pretty picture. This is a complete breakdown. You got to be careful here. This is a strong gap down as well. I wouldn't do anything with this stock for a few days. Let it settle in. Let the dust clear on this one. But this is not a pretty picture here for InterDigital. There's not a lot to do in this name at the moment. I would not even be a buyer here. If the stock got down to around $32.45, that looks like a decent level. And obviously 30 bucks, maybe where it wants to go ultimately. There will be some short-term support right around 35, and you could see it got there basically last night. So there's a little bit of short-term support around 35, but really the best levels for this thing is going to be really $32.50 and then $30 ultimately. $30, the stock looks very attractive if it could get down to 30 bucks. So 30 bucks, I'd be a buyer at 30 if it got down to that level. All right, let's talk about McDonald's, everybody's favorite hamburger. McDonald's Corp. right now trading up a little bit here. It looks like the stock closed at $100.95. The company had earnings today. It's trading at 101.40, so it's up about 50 cents at the moment. Decent little pop. McDonald's looks strong. There's nothing really wrong here with McDonald's. I just don't think it's going to scream higher or lower one way or the other. It has earnings. The earnings were fair. The stock's in a good uptrend on the chart. There's really nothing wrong with that chart. Chart is still solid. So I wouldn't do anything here with McDonald's. Maybe on a scalp basis if it gives you a setup or a pattern. There's a trade in there. But right now McDonald's is a decent name, holding up in a good uptrend. There's really not a lot to say at this point. Let's take a look at Johnson & Johnson. The stock's trading now at $64.50. Closed yesterday at $65. J&J is not showing a whole lot of strength, nor is it doing anything wrong. If J&J closes below 63, if it closes below 63.39, the stock is likely to go down to 62. That's where I would get attracted to the stock. 61, 65, $62. That's your real good level on Johnson & Johnson. Until it gets there, there's not a lot to do with it here. Again, there's going to be a little bit of support at $63.39, but I really like that 62 to 61, 65 area. That's your buy level on Johnson & Johnson should the stock get there. Okay, let's take a look at TRV, which is Travelers Group, the insurance company. Again, not a lot of volume here in the pre-market, so I don't really want to make too much of a comment out of it, but the stock has a ton of resistance at $62.25, $62.50, and then ultimately a ton more at 64 bucks. I'm not seeing anything here one way or the other, so I would probably leave it. If it fell and it fell hard, you could be interested in this thing around $48.75. Okay, those are the levels that I'm seeing this morning. Let's take a look at Verizon. I believe Verizon had earnings as well. Stock is getting hit right now, trading at 37.60. That's right around the daily chart 20 moving average. I would let this thing fall. 36.90 is going to be the 50 MA on the daily. Ultimately, 35.60 is where you want to get in on Verizon if you're looking to own it. I would not do anything before that. Okay? So 35.60 is your support level bounce area for Verizon in the short term. Let's take a look at Coach. This is the handbag maker having a very, very solid day today. Stock's trading up at $66.40, closed at 64.20. Stock looks fine right now. It's in an uptrend. The big resistance is going to be at 69.50 to 70 bucks. So nothing to do with Coach there. It's still a pretty decent move. I don't know if this gap up is all that strong, but nonetheless, stock's in an uptrend, and you don't want to fight that tape. Let's take a look at IGT. Okay, this is International Game. This stock is getting hit this morning, trading down to around the 15 level. The stock will have some decent support, in my opinion. A couple of spots if it got down there. I'd probably watch 14.50 and then ultimately the $14 area. It looks attractive at that level, but you got to be a little bit cautious with this one. Yeah, that's where I'm sticking with that. 14.50 and then ultimately down at double bottom 13.34. That's what you got to stick with. Okay, those are the short-term support areas. But be careful if this market starts to sell today. That's going to put pressure on everything that's already down. Okay, so just remember, you always got to check the weather outside when you go trading. Know if you need an umbrella or know where the wind is blowing. In this case, the market's starting off a little bit on the weaker side, so these stocks can ultimately trade down a little bit if they're down to begin with. Okay. With that said, everybody, I want to wish you a great trading day. Again, a lot of events coming over the next couple of days with the State of the Union, Apple earnings, and then you have the Federal Reserve tomorrow afternoon, but they will begin their meeting today. So with that said, have a great trading day, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care now.